Capricorn, this is your March tarot reading. Last month you were heartbroken over a karmic reaction against you that involved deception, but we have deception again this month. We also, bottom right, we have in the past been stabbed in the back. So I wonder if this deception went even further than was being indicated last month, and that it's actually sort of pulled the rug from under your feet. It certainly feels just like that. That's how I would interpret this. If we go to that middle card, I think it's positive. It's an energy that runs throughout this reading. It's an energy of you being brave, an energy of you being fearless, fierce, fast, but maybe rushing into the wrong things. I'm not certain that that's what we should take it as, but it's a possibility. Current energy is that of the star. Couldn't be better. Rebirth and hope. So fantastic, fantastic energy. And your future energy is that of the King of Cups. A king who's in control of his emotions, understands his emotions, and indeed those of others. So a wonderful, wonderful, a wonderful sign there. What leads to the outcome is this deception. Now, it's the sort of deception that doesn't necessarily work out. You might catch the culprit. They might have second thoughts, but the deception is there nonetheless. And what that leads to is the outcome, and the outcome is you planning something quite radical, considering different options, but they're quite radical options. What would change that outcome is you sort of getting preoccupied with a day-to-day, trying to balance things, almost like a work-life balance situation, that you've got so much on and you're preoccupied with the mundane that you can't see the greater that is here. Say the overall energy is that of the Knight of Wands, or Knight of Clubs. And you can see, look, he's fast, he's rushing into battle very quickly. He's brave, he's fearless, quite fierce. But he's rushing into battle armed only with a stick. Is that important? It often is. But I can't necessarily see on this reading where jumping to the wrong conclusion would be important. It might be. It might be. Because we've got this deception, and we don't know what the deception's about. But that deception could be to do with you having got hold of the wrong end of the stick. Yeah. I mean, it could be you deluding yourself, but I don't think that's it. I think you're being deceived because you've jumped off on the wrong one and it's annoyed people. I might be wrong. It's early days, but this is an energy that runs throughout the reading, and an energy that impacts on all the other energies. Now, last month, you were heartbroken over a karmic punishment to you, karmic reaction to you. And I thought it was simply deception. But in the recent past, we have the card, or the energy of being stabbed in the back. So did it go much further? Was this karmic reaction much further? I think it probably was, And it's destroyed something to do with your way of being. You're having to rebuild your life as a result of it. So, yes, it must hurt incredibly. I suspect it's to do with your beliefs. It could be, well, probably almost certainly it's your beliefs and the way you conduct your life. Could be something even more physical that's come to an end. But yeah, you'll be smarting. But I do get the impression that you actually fully recover this month. And very indicative that you're recovering, not only from the broken heart, but also from the loss of whatever this stabbing in the back has caused, is this current energy of the star. It's a beautiful, beautiful energy, particularly at a time like this, wonderful energy. In fact, it's really an energy of recovery, because it's an energy of hope, massive hope for the future, but also an energy of rebirth. So this is you transforming as a result of this karmic intervention, and transforming in exactly the right way. And I can see plenty of evidence in this spread that it is exactly the right way. Exactly. Now, another indication that you're absolutely on the right track is, in the future, this energy of the King of Cups. A king who's very much in control of his emotions. An energy of somebody that understands his emotions, but understands those of others. An energy of unbelievable love, unbelievable forgiveness, unbelievable nurturing of others. An energy of somebody who's absolutely in control of his psychology and that around him, and creates this wonderful love bubble around him. So it suggests to me, yes, you have recovered very well. Now, the energy that leads to the outcome's probably not a bad outcome. In fact, I think I'm going to read it as a good outcome, yeah. The energy that leads to the outcome is an energy of deception. It's a sort of deception whereby they don't necessarily get away with it. Do you catch them out in the deception? Maybe. Do they have second thoughts? Maybe. Or do they get away with it? That's entirely possible as well. I'm not trying to say it fails, but it doesn't have to. I think this is a test. You're undergoing a change, and as a result, you will probably receive blessings. But in order to let those blessings in, there will be tests of you. And I think that's exactly what this deception is. Now, I think what would change the outcome is you getting bogged down in the minutiae, getting bogged down in day-to-day issues, struggling, if you like, to do everything that you need to do, maybe struggling with work-life balance, but I think it's more about it keeping your mind off the bigger things that you need to be focusing on this hope, focusing on this rebirth, focusing on where you're going. But you could get far too bogged down in details, far too busy, and it would prevent you from doing these things. You see, I think the outcome is a good outcome, particularly in the light of last month, because it's about you planning a future, planning quite a radical future, I think. It's sort of considering options. It's not detailed plans yet. But the fact that you're able to do that, and you're able to do it because of this deception. So why would you be planning quite radical options? Because of the deception. Maybe, like so many of us, you've just had so much of deception. So much of deception that you want your life to change. And therefore you need to change trajectory because you recognise there will always be this deception. There will always be these things unless you do something about it. Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's simply you saw through it as being a test and know that there's a future and you need to plan for that future. And I'm going to get clarity on this deception card because I think once we can understand it, then everything else falls into place really. I mean, I've got to the bottom of these things, but just the nuances on this are important. First card we get is the Empress. This has been cropping up in circumstances like this, and I've taken it to mean that you're a little bit too lavish with yourself. Conspicuous consumption. Is that the case here? I'm not sure. The next card is a card of self-restrictions. You're restricting yourself. And the final card is that of the Magician. Manifestation. Does this put a different spin on it? Well, stick around and we'll find out. Now, of course, we were anticipating this deception because it said it was coming in the future last month. So, what's it about? Well, I was suggesting that it was karmic. It was the universe teaching you a lesson. And we have here the energy of the Empress. Now, it could be about a pregnancy, but I don't think it is. It could be about being at home with nature, but I don't think it is. It could be about you being in control of your feelings and being able to understand the feelings of others. That's a possibility. But I think much more likely it's your love of the good things in life. Now, normally with the Empress, that love of the good things in life is not selfish. And maybe yours isn't selfish, but it might have the impression of being selfish on others. So I think that's part of the reason for this other little test, this deception that we're talking of. And the other thing we're being told is that you're self-restricting yourself. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? You've been punished. 2 months ago there was deception. And very often, you know, when any trauma results in a reaction from us that can be self-defeating. And I think that's what this is about. You know, since the health crisis, I consume very little because I find consumption so very difficult. And at my age, the one thing I really want to consume is tourism, you know, holidays, vacations. But it's now so difficult to book and pay for holidays that I'm very restricted in what I do. Certainly going overseas is well, it's become rather unpleasant. You know, the customs in Indonesia is just ridiculous now. Just ridiculous. It's online, you know. We used to have little bits of paper and we could fill it out and we could do it in a few seconds. Last time I came back through the customs, it took me over an hour. You know, and that you're probably already tired out because you've been on quite a long flight. And all you want to do is get home, you know, and you fill out this. Well, you don't fill it out, you know. You struggle with their ill-conceived online systems. So yeah, there's many things I can't face anymore. And those are self-restrictions because I've been traumatised in the past. I think that's what this is about. And I think it was 2 months ago, maybe it was just last month, but I'd spotted that you were a little bit manipulative and controlling. And I think you're still doing it through manifesting. I think you've got hold of, and this is what needs to change with you. You've got hold of the wrong end of the stick about why God, Allah, the universe has given us manifesting. And it is a bit like, you know, the Empress energy. And that is, God has provided us with abundance and plenty so that we should all share in it. But some of us think it should be for us and us alone. And some of us use magic or manifesting solely for our own benefit. And yeah, I think these are little reminders for you. That's all it is. Little test, little reminders. So we can summarise for you now. Capricorn. Capricorn, the last few months have been very much about karma. Very much about me understanding that yes, you've been a victim, but to a certain degree your very belief system has to change. And the universe going about creating that change in karmic retribution against you. Now don't get me wrong, the karmic retribution for those who've harmed you is even greater. But your belief system is at fault. Yes. You see, the overall energy running through this is that of the Knight of Wands, who is brave, he is fast, he is ferocious, but he does jump to the wrong conclusions. And I think you have about life and about how you should behave. I don't think you're a bad person, probably not particularly when compared to the general population. But the universe has better things for you. And the deception of last month turned out to be more pernicious than I thought it was. It's actually destroyed something, destroyed a way of being. And I think you are beginning to grasp things. You know, you're sort of reborn and you're full of hope. But there is a residual of your past behaviour, which was controlling and manipulative. And now it is that you're sort of wanting luxury, but not necessarily to share it. And therefore there is more deception coming. But I see this as a test from the universe. And I'm pretty certain it's a test that you pass. And as a result of it, it sees you planning your future. So very much a recovery, planning your future and planning it in quite a radical way. And talking of the future, you are going to emerge as the king of love, somebody that's full of love, somebody that's in control of their emotions, understands the emotions of others. Now that's just how the universe wants you to behave. So an ending of this manipulation, control, an ending of this slight selfishness. Now, that was the old paradigm. That was the greed is good paradigm, but things have changed, and that's why all this is happening. Now, what would prevent you from making these changes is you focusing on the minutiae, the detritus of the world, getting bogged down in how busy you are on day-to-day things. But if you can rise above it, I think things are looking good for you.